Forecast first. KTAB News at 10 starts now.
With coverage you can count on. This is KTAB News at 10.
Well, obviously, we feel a little relieved. It's been a long year.
The family of murdered Abilene police officer Don Allen breaks their silence, only granting an interview with KTAB News. And a Stamford home is destroyed, but the family, pets, and some valuables are safe thanks to the heroic actions of the father. Plus, tomorrow night will mark the final debate before the presidential election, how the candidates are preparing. Good evening. Thank you for choosing KTAB News tonight. I'm Brittany Paletz. Bob is away this evening. It is the first time the family of murdered Abilene police officer Don Allen is speaking publicly, and Allen's father, Don Allen, chose to talk exclusively with KTAB News. This comes on the day that the Abilene couple is sentenced for the crimes committed on August 31st of last year. That is tonight's top story. Here is video of Violetta Walter moments after learning about her 40-year prison sentence for murdering Don Allen in his Clyde home. She was being taken from the courtroom to the jail before being sent to a prison to serve her time. She and her husband, Philip Walter, were both found guilty of murder, robbery, and theft of a firearm on Monday afternoon. Today, a Callahan County judge sentenced them each to 40 years for the murder, 20 years for robbery, and 10 for theft of a firearm. However, these sentences will be served at the same time, which means the Abilene couple will not serve more than 40 years each in prison. The murder of Don Allen quickly became a high-profile case. KTAB's Stacey Wormel was at the crime scene that night, there for the Walters' arrest, and has covered this investigation for more than a year. And those are some of the reasons why Jim Allen is breaking the family's silence by sharing his thoughts with only KTAB's Stacey Wormel. She now joins me here at the desk with the emotional interview. Stacey.
Well, Brittany, this whole week, this whole year has been an emotional roller coaster for this Clyde family, the law enforcement family, and the family of Violetta and Philip Walter. And today, Brittany, this roller coaster ride finally came to an end.
And that was what he always wanted to do. He wanted to be a peace officer in Abilene.
Jim Allen's son, Don, followed his dreams, even receiving a life-saving award.
He was walking on cloud nine. You could just tell he was ecstatic. This was his goal. This is what he wanted, and he achieved it.
But his law enforcement career was cut short.
It was murder, and there was no way around it.
Violetta and Philip Walter were found guilty of murdering his son.
And the whole accident, whatever, him putting this ad on the Craigslist, we just didn't expect anything like that to ever come about. But these people took advantage of that.
And now they are each sentenced to spend 40 years behind bars.
Well, obviously, we feel a little relieved. It's been a long year.
That started with a devastating phone call from his son's fiancée saying that Don is dead, and then seeing his son's lifeless body on his bedroom floor.
What gave you the strength to take the stand and talk about that day?
I just knew it had to be told. It had to be told. It was not easy to do.
The sincerity of his testimony was certainly felt in the courtroom.
This week and a half it seemed like weeks. We are relieved.
Throughout this painful year, Jim Allen is still able to smile and talk about the kind of man his son Don was.
He was a great man, and he had devoted his life to serving his community.
Traits that he hopes will continue with a new member in the family.
We've got a brand new grandson, about a month old, and his name is Billy Don.
With this new life, he says they are able to move forward and honor their son, Officer Don Allen. And he told me the wounds they have from this whole ordeal now can finally start to heal. And Brittany, you saw that picture he had in his hands there. He told me that it hangs in their home now, and they're able to look at it every day and remember their son.
And now, as he said, a little bit move on and find some closure. Yes. Thank you, Stacey, very much. Don Allen was 27 years old. He was months away from being married, and his final resting place is at a cemetery in Clyde. For a complete background on Don Allen's murder, click on the Officer Don Allen tab on BigCountryHomepage.com. A Texas man is sentenced to 14 years in federal prison following his guilty guilty plea after persuading and enticing 2 Abilene teens to his home to engage in sexual activity. 50-year-old Robert Blaine Harris of Fort Worth received the 14-year sentence today following his guilty plea in July 2016. That's to an indictment for the enticement of a minor and aiding and abetting. Harris has been in custody since his arrest in January 2016. According to documents beginning in December 2015, Harris engaged in a relationship with a minor using Scout, an online dating application. That's what led him to the 2 13-year-old females to engage in sexual activity. In January of this year, Harris traveled to Abilene and picked up the 2 girls, transporting them to his residence in Fort Worth to engage in that activity. 2 juveniles were recovered by law enforcement at Harris's home, and Harris called the Fort Worth police. APD is investigating a case of animal cruelty in Southwest Abilene. A police report says a concerned citizen called them after noticing 2 emaciated boxers in the backyard of a home on the 700 block of Grand Avenue. According to the report, the dogs did not have any food and were severely malnourished to the point that you could see their skeletal features. The report also states that Animal Services was obtaining a warrant to seize the dogs, quote, as it was apparent they were being neglected, end quote. No suspects have been identified in connection to this case, but the investigation is ongoing. A Stanford father is being credited for saving his family from a house fire. This fire happened before 1:30 this morning on the 900 block of Wells Road in Stanford. The home is destroyed, but the family is safe. The Stanford Fire Department responded and called in Anson Fire to assist. While the family was unharmed, 1 firefighter was treated on scene for minor smoke inhalation. The father went inside the burning home, saving his wife, daughter, 3 dogs, along with the baby book and wedding album. It is now exactly 3 weeks to Election Day and 1 day until the 3rd and final presidential debate in Las Vegas. Donald Trump spent the day campaigning in Colorado while Hillary Clinton prepared for the debate. Craig Boswell's in Washington with the latest from the campaign trail.
Donald Trump is promising supporters he'll push for congressional term limits if elected.
We're going to drain the swamp in Washington, D.C., and that's what it is.
He's claiming Washington insiders are rigging the presidential election.
If we let the Clinton cartel run this government, history will record that 2017 was the year America lost its independence.
President Obama slammed Trump's claims.
I'd advise Mr. Trump to stop whining and go try to make his case to get votes.
This Trump supporter says the media is favoring Hillary Clinton.
I don't hear anything about WikiLeaks, Benghazi, but you hear a whole bunch of rumors unsubstantiated from 30 years ago.
The latest batch of WikiLeaks emails showed Clinton's campaign manager John Podesta mocking former rival Bernie Sanders. Last year, he wrote, Sanders is a doofus for criticizing the Paris climate deal.
And in March, Podesta emailed Clinton with a first cut of people to consider for vice president. 39 names divided into what he dubbed food groups, including Latino leaders, female lawmakers, and down at the bottom, all by himself, Sanders. Clinton is in Las Vegas preparing for tomorrow's debate.
This is her last big opportunity to be in front of a big national audience and make her case, and she's very much looking forward to doing that.
A new Monmouth University poll shows Clinton's pulled ahead of Trump in Nevada.
Craig Boswell, KTAB News.
You can watch the final 2016 presidential debate tomorrow night right here on KTAB starting at 8 o'clock. Still ahead on KTAB News at 10, for 35 years, Safety City has taught area youngsters the rules of the road. Among other safety lessons, Big Country Roots is coming up. But first, Sam is here with our forecast. And Sam, we're in for some sweater weather later this week, right?
That's right. Fall fashion is going to be back in vogue before the week is out. And we'll talk about that after the break. Let's look at our numbers from today. We got up at 66 degrees, got up to 84 before a cold front came through, and half the big country in the 80s, other half in the 90s. I'll show you the temperature highs when we come back.
With coverage you can count on. Bob Bartlett,
Brittany Paletz,
and Chief Meteorologist Sam Nichols. This is KTAB News at 10.